Obviously, by the way, watch the final buzzer with the man who's ashamed to be seen with me in public, Mr. John Polkowski. And
No, I
we
just have to put
are
a muzzle
now
on you in public. That's all.
we are now officially underway. Phil, we are going to talk a little bit about the Rangers first in this week, and I thought it was a great win they had over the Washington Capitals. But yet again, Igor Shesterkin, at his 21st game where he's beat the opposition when being outshot, that's ridiculous. That's
yeah, best defensive effort all year too. I know it was early. That they were it was an even game early on, but as they went along in that game, they really started to shut Washington down. And it wasn't until the last minute that Ovechkin got a cheapie, a stat pattern. So the Rangers really did a number on them, really made them look ineffective, made them look kind of useless. And like I said, it was the best defensive I had all year from them. I highlighted Keandre Miller's play. He made one bad play in that entire game, and that was on the one goal that happened. Him and Trouba, Strome lost the face-off. But, yeah, they did. As David says here, a lot of those weren't high-quality chances. I never felt like they were in danger of really being scored on in that game, So Washington just really did not have a lot of offense there. They didn't have things going. Ovechkin was frustrated for a lot of that game. So, yeah. So I like what we had in that game. I hope they bring that type of effort today.
And of course, one of the best things about it is you've been predicting the Kreider slump is here. You were saying this on the final buzzer last week, and he gets off the schneid. He gets number 34 of the season. And the other thing, obviously, I always look at goal differential because the more that goes up, the better it is. And usually you look at the best teams in the league, they always have the best goal differential. And their specialty teams, now the power play is fourth in the NHL. Penalty kill slipped a little bit, but it's where it needs to be. And they're looking like they can actually start making some noise in about 2 more months. I still say all the time, they got to strengthen the bottom six. I don't want to hear about JT Miller in any way. So we are going to move on to the more wider topic of first, is Igor Shesterkin an MVP candidate?
Oh, it's funny because Brody just came up with this comment and it says Johnny Bauer's nearly 60-year-old NHL high save percentage record for a season is a .932. Igor is at .941. I don't think that's actually the record, Brody. I think Dominik Hasek has actually had higher save percentages.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those guys that had higher single season save percentages. I think you're going to see Brian Elliott on that list.
Brian Elliott is up at 940, but he didn't play 40 games. He played only 30 games that year. So yeah. Dominik Hasek actually has the record at a .937 in 64 games in 1999. He won the Vezina that year. That was the third. That was the fifth in 6 years for Hasek because he won in 94, 95. Carey won it in 96. And then he won it in 97, 98, and 99. Was hurt in 2000. Won his last one in 2001. But Dominik Hasek's 937 is actually the record. So yeah.
All right. So because we started asking around about this because we did obviously our picks for the midseason MVP. You could check those out in our midseason awards last month. But Igor Shesterkin is certainly making that noise right now.
Yeah, I would have to say, and I know that I'm biased, but Igor Shesterkin is my MVP right now. This team, he's playing at Dominik Hasek 97, 98 levels right now. And I've said that on the final buzzer the other night. I've said it on social media. I've said it on Twitter. Without him playing the way that he's playing, this team is not a playoff team. They're not where they are. They were never in first place without that type of performance. I mean, even Florida. Jonathan Huberdeau is actually having a great year. I would probably give him the Hart if it's not Shesterkin, but he's had Alexander Barkov, even though Alexander Barkov has missed time. Sam Bennett. I mean,
Anthony Duclair is having a great season.
Sam Reinhart. I mean, there's a bunch of guys on that team that have really helped it. Aaron Ekblad is having a Norris caliber year. Mackenzie Weegar is having an amazing year. So they're up and down. They're a good team. If you want to talk about Austin Matthews, okay, but look at the help that he has around him. William Nylander is having an incredible year. Mitch Marner is having an incredible year. John Tavares, even though he's not having his normal John Tavares year, he's still John Tavares. Morgan Riley is a former 70-point defenseman. I mean, they have talent up and down their lineup. Igor Shesterkin, there's Adam Fox, Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, and then Chris Kreider's having an out. What you have to consider an outlier year right now. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, but yeah, even Pierre LeBrun, as Johnny Red points out here, Pierre LeBrun came out on Twitter yesterday and said that Igor Shesterkin has to be the.
A lot of writers are coming out and saying that he's an MVP candidate. I think if you go back over the numbers, I think he's got 5 games where he's given up more than 3 goals.
That's it.
And two are against Calgary.
Yeah.
So take those away. Yeah, you're down to 3 on a team that they're rotating. They had Nils Lundqvist, Keandre Miller, Braden Schneider, and Zach Jones. That's 4 first year or rookie defensemen.
Well, 3 rookies and a second year defenseman. It's 3. It's 3 players. 4 players that have played less than 100 career games.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
That is incredible. So, I mean, now we're going to make the cases now for the other guys, on this list, because we still have some guys to mention. Let's start with this one. Let's get these 2 out of the way.
I have to get that comment in.
Oh, and Patrick Nemeth.
Yeah, and Libor Hayek. So if you want bad defensemen, the Rangers have a bunch of bad defensemen that should have never been playing in the NHL.
Now, let's go to the Edmonton guys real quick, and let's cross them off the list, because it's essential to point out how good this team has been, or how good their teams have been, or how bad it's been, even though they've been outstanding or even to a legendary status. Like, I don't look at those guys and go, you're MVPs anymore if they're going to scrape in on the 8th spot. If they're not winning their division, I don't want to hear it.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. I would say that you'd have to at least be in the playoffs. I remember Jarome Iginla didn't win it over Jose Theodore in 2002 because the Flames didn't make the playoffs, even though Jarome Iginla led the NHL in goals and points, won the Richard and the Art Ross, and he was playing on a line with Craig Conroy as his center. Like, Craig Conroy did not belong on any team's top line. At that point before that season, he was considered a number 3 center. And Jarome Iginla made him into a household name for a while. So I thought Jarome Iginla should have won it that year, but I understand the Flames didn't make the playoffs. Theodore catapulted Montreal past the Rangers, even though the Rangers got buried at the deadline that year. And Theodore won the Vezina and the Hart in the same season. So, but yeah. I do think that if you make the playoffs and you drag your team there, yeah, I get why Taylor Hall won, even though I don't agree with Taylor Hall winning in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, also, all right. So that's my thoughts on the Edmonton guys. Kirill Kaprizov has a real solid case.
Yes. Yeah, and if you look who he's playing on a line with in Minnesota, he's playing with Matt Zuccarello and Ryan Hartman. And Matt Zuccarello, we all love Matt Zuccarello as Ranger fans, but Ryan Hartman was definitely not top 6 forward before this year. And the fact that he basically replaced Victor Rask on that line, because it was Rask, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello last year. And Kaprizov was on pace for 40 goals and almost 80 points as a rookie. And he ran away with the Calder last year. Kirill Kaprizov is an elite talent. There's just no debating it now. He's here. He's not going to get any worse. He's only going to get better from here. So I do agree. Minnesota's offense on paper is not a great unit. And they are winning games because Kaprizov, Zuccarello, and Hartman are providing a ton of offense. Joel Eriksson Ek is one of the better two-way forwards in the entire league. Jordan Greenway is good, solid depth support there, can score here and there. Matthew Boldy, if he would have came up earlier in the year, would probably be a Calder frontrunner right now with the way that he's played ever since he's been called up. So they have a lot of things going right for them. Cam Talbot, the Prince, as we used to call him, is playing well in Minnesota in net. They've got a good, solid D corps, but Kaprizov is really the driving force. You take him away from all that, and they're not even a playoff team. So I'm with you on Kaprizov.
See, Kaprizov that's the one that I'm kind of looking at and going, there's the real MVP, if not him, because I'm going to mention this guy now. What are your thoughts on Johnny Gaudreau being an MVP candidate?
I like it. It's funny because Sean Monahan has just been atrocious for the last, I would say, 2-3 years. And those guys ran shotgun with each other for years beforehand. And we always thought that, if Monahan never rebounds, what's going to happen to Gaudreau's numbers? Well, Johnny Gaudreau is showing the world that he doesn't need anybody as his center. He can do whatever with whoever and still be one of the game's most productive players. I mean, he's carrying Calgary's offense. There are a lot of guys up and down that lineup that are contributing here and there, but name me another guy in that lineup that really sticks out to you as an offensive linchpin. Matthew Tkachuk? But what is Matthew Tkachuk doing?
Matthew Tkachuk, I got his stats right over here. He is 24 goals, 32 assists.
Okay.
And then after that, Elias Lindholm. That top line that they got is, I believe it's Lindholm, Tkachuk, and Gaudreau. They're playing outstanding. I mean, look at Philk. The plus minus. I understand some people might want to take away from plus minus and go, oh, it's an overrated stat. But when you're seeing plus 37, plus 32, plus 39, they are dominating at 5-on-5, and that's what those guys are doing. And Calgary's top line is number one. I mean, Mangiapane has been good. That's another one. They got good defense. We've seen Noah Hannafin playing back when he was with Carolina. There's a lot of talent in Calgary, and I think Daryl Sutter's got them humming right now. If the season ended right now, I'd say they're my Stanley Cup favorite, but I'm a little bit kooky. But I know, yeah. I'm betting on Daryl Sutter.
I don't think that's kooky, though. The thing is that Sutter hockey wins in the playoffs. And, Calgary just plays a suffocating defensive game. They're all over you. They're fast. They're furious. They're in your face. They're a heavy-hitting team. They seem to have the right things. Then they just went and got Tyler Toffoli.
Yes,
and Tyler Toffoli obviously has a history with Daryl Sutter, or at least one Stanley Cup. I don't know if he got
2. Yeah, it was on both.
Okay, so then he was. I know that he was on that team, but I didn't know if he played enough games and played in the playoffs enough to get that cup.
That's a good question then.
But Toffoli is again another difference maker in that lineup, and you bring him in, and since he's come to Calgary. I mean, he's got 2 points, 2 goals in 5 games, and he's a -2. But he's not really hurting the team or anything like that. Eventually, he's going to get assimilated to that lineup, and he's going to start producing. So that makes them even more of a credible threat. And then what happens if they somehow go bring Mark Giordano back?
Yeah, that's what's going to be the case. But you know what? All this stems from Johnny Gaudreau having the resurgent season that he has had. He is going to make some bank in the summer.
Yes,
and
he is.
That's going to be a discussion that we're going to have for a later day. But it's so right there, Gaudreau and Kaprizov, 2 worthy candidates to be a finalist with Shesterkin. I mean, all these guys are worthy candidates, to be honest. And we are mentioning the last name on that list, Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, and the Capitals have really struggled as of late, and Alexander Ovechkin has helped keep them afloat for a lot of the season. He's not scoring at the 60 plus goal pace that he was scoring earlier on in the year, but he could still hit 50. He could still hit 100 points. He just seems to have found the fountain of youth. So I would definitely say that Alexander Ovechkin has a case. With the way that the Capitals have slid lately, I think he's probably dropping a little bit in the rankings, but he's still there. I would still give him votes over Edmonton's duo. I would still give him votes over Austin Matthews. I don't know if I would give him votes over Gaudreau or Kaprizov at this point, but I would definitely give him votes over other guys. I think he would probably be fourth in my rankings.
Well, the other thing, by the way, that we have to mention is that Jonathan Huberdeau is a great player. He's got nothing on Justin Huberdeau. So it's one slip up, and I'm gonna take that on the chin for probably the rest of my life.
You probably will.
All right, so I'm gonna give Anthony's picks first. This is the order that Anthony had his top four. It was Huberdeau, Ovechkin, Igor, and then Kaprizov. But Phil, who's your MVP if this season ends right now?
I gotta go Igor. I you know what? Call me a homer, say whatever the hell you want. But when you have someone that's posting a 940 save percentage, and he's got a sub-2 goals against in this era, there is no way that you could say that he's not the MVP. And you want to talk about just stats, metrics, everything like that. Look at Igor Shesterkin's high danger save percentage. And ESPN flashed the stat the other night during the game. They said on shots from the slot, Igor Shesterkin has like a 930 plus save percentage on shots from the slot, which is the highest danger scoring area on the entire ice. Igor Shesterkin, not only that, but his goals saved above expected is like here, and everybody else is like here. So like what he's doing is just next level, and it's got to be him. It's got to be him.
Just to mention, Ranger fans, they haven't seen a goalie be that high over goals above expected or anything like that before, right? Yeah. So only saw after 15 years.
Losers.
I'm trying. Oh wait, I clicked on who's the Rangers MVP. I'm trying not to say this. I'm trying desperately not to say this. That's why I'm going to go right now. Kaprizov as the MVP. My midseason MVP was Justin Huberdeau. I think
you did say that.
I did it again. Oh my god, Jonathan Huberdeau.
Oh my god, he said it so casually too.
This is oh my god. This is gonna kill me. This is gonna be the end of me.
Oh my god.
You can't take this guy seriously. He keeps calling him Justin. It's great. This is how great this joke has gotten traction.
This is how this channel is going to pick up because we're going to get goofed on for you saying Justin Huberdeau.
Yeah. Well, all right. But Jonathan Huberdeau's kind of slipped back a little bit, and Florida's kind of plateaued. They're still going to be dangerous. I still think they're going to win the Atlantic. But I got to look at Kaprizov and go, his help is Matt Zuccarello, and he's making Ryan Hartman a goal scorer. And no, I gotta go Kaprizov. There we go. All right. But what do you guys think? Who should be the NHL MVP? We're gonna take a look at that poll that caused the echo to begin with. 94% saying Igor Shesterkin. Justin Huberdeau not getting that many votes, possibly because he's not a person. Well, actually, who knows? There might be a Justin Huberdeau out there. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Oh god. This is how we break hockey, folks. This is how it goes. All right. But who is your MVP? Is it anybody on the list? Am I being too harsh on the Edmonton guys? And it should be them. Although, then again, if you have two players in the top 5 in scoring, how can you just say one of them is more valuable than the other?
They're tied for first place with Huberdeau.
Yes. Jonathan Huberdeau. So, all right. Who's your MVP? Throw it down in the comments below. We're going to move on, and we're going to do some bar talk. As soon as I can boop. And banner show for me so far today.
Yes.
I'm going to take a shot on this one.
I'm going to say beer.
I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh my God.
Welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you going to buy everybody around? You're so confident? I mean, it is 12:44 on a Saturday, so yeah, that would be great. Are you?
That's Eastern Standard Time, remember.
Or are you just like so? You'll have a beer. So we are going to start with this, Phil. Alexei Lafreniere will stick on the top 6 the rest of the season.
Top line, you mean?
Yeah, top line.
Okay. Yeah, I'm buying everybody around on this. And because I for once now have the confidence in Alexei Lafreniere to deliver consistent hockey on a game-to-game basis. Remember what I told you earlier on in the year about how I thought that Gerard Gallant finally found the right button to push with Chris Kreider to get him to play on a night-to-night basis?
Yeah.
I think Gerard Gallant has found that button with Alexei Lafreniere. I truly do. I truly do, because that was the best effort I've seen from him in his entire career. A goal, assist, good defensive play, engaged along the boards, skating fast. Maybe his skating and conditioning are improving before our eyes, and we're finally seeing it. But something is there with Alexei Lafreniere. He looks like he's involved. But I don't see him turning back now at this point. I think Gerard has really kind of, like I said, pushed that right button, and it just he's giving the efforts that Turk wants him to give at this point, and I think he's going to stay. So.
I'm going to go beer. The reason why is because I can see them moving around the lineup a little bit. Capo Caco coming in. Him coming back. Vitaly Kravtsov as a possibility next month. Who knows? Maybe he shifts things around. I don't think you should. I don't think you should. I
don't think he's going anywhere at this point.
Good. Then I hope that's the case. But
and I definitely don't think Capo Caco is going to change that.
Yeah, especially not right now.
No.
But I think also there are changes that need to be made on this team, especially on the bottom 6. And I think if Lafreniere gives another game like he did against the Capitals, and he was great, not good. He was great against the Capitals.
He was great.
So hopefully more games like that to come. Philk, this week, Zdeno Chara passed Chris Chelios for the most games played by a defenseman. A defenseman will play more games than Zdeno Chara. I'm going to start this one.
All time?
All time. I'm going to start this one, and I'm going to say shot. Oh, wow. That's covering you right away. We'll go with the shorty guy right there. It's just I don't see it ever happening again. I think we live in an era where people are going to be protecting the athletes. Certain the games played streaks in every single sport are safe. Lock them up. Cal Ripken, AC Green. I think Brett Favre, I think, was the one that held the NFL one. But you're not going to have to worry about anybody challenging the consecutive game streak. So Keith Yandel, you're safe. Oh, maybe Phil Kessel, by the way, because he's right behind you. But those guys, once that's done, it's over. So I'm saying shot.
There's no other answer to this but shot. I mean, are we going to find a 6'10" or a 7-foot defenseman that can skate like the wind that'll come along, and even when his skating dies down, he's going to have the wingspan of a 747 jumbo jet and can still cover half the defensive zone just because of that. I mean, that's part of why Chara lasted as long as he did, because once his legs started to go, he still had the size to cover a lot of ground and control a lot of gaps that way. So I don't see how that's going to I don't see how anybody's going to pass that. And you're right. I think we play in a different era, and I think that Leon Chara was also a physical specimen in himself. He prides himself on being in incredible shape. So, yeah, definitely.
That's actually what I was about to mention. I'm glad you did, so I didn't have to worry about that. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Chara's conditioning, which was outstanding, especially for a man his size.
And the other man in that quote, comment at the bottom also did as well, Chris Chelios.
Yes. Chris Chelios, he was quoted numerous times as saying, I want to play a 60-minute game before I retire. And man, Chris Chelios, what a defenseman.
If there was anyone that could have done it, Chris Chelios could have probably done it.
Yes. Moving on. A guy that's been hot lately. And starting to make some heads turned. Patrick Laine has found a home in Columbus. 15 goals in his last 22 games, Phil.
I'm going to say beer. I mean, if you're asking whether he's going to stay long-term, is that what this is doing?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say a beer because I could see him staying, but at the same time, how long, one, is he going to re-sign for? Because I believe his current deal is up after this year. I'd have to look that up real quick. Sorry, everybody. Did not have myself prepared for that. Yeah, he's a restricted free agent after this year. So I don't know exactly what the qualifying offer is going to be. I know that he's going to have to get at least $7.5 million, though, because that's what he's currently making. I could see him being traded. I don't think Columbus wants to. It's a matter of whether he wants to stay or not. So I'm going to say beer.
I'm going to go beer too, but this is one where I'm actually hoping to buy around, because you get some guys that just bounce around, and Laine had a great start to his career. He then kind of the last two seasons, not so much. He's very streaky, and this could just be another streak, but I'm actually taking this more as a positive thing that he's actually more comfortable now in Columbus, because the first 2 months weren't that great. I think there were only just 7 goals, and then 15 since the calendar turns in 2022.
Yeah,
and he looks like he's playing more confident. He just keeps on scoring, and you know what? I hope to buy everybody around if this was a month later and we're talking about this. Going on tonight, the Stadium Series will be playing with Tampa Bay visiting Nashville at Nissan Stadium. Phil, Stadium Series still has its luster.
I'm going to say beer because it's not the spectacle. I don't think it was ever the spectacle that the Winter Classic was, because the Winter Classic was always kind of presented with more priority. I mean, I went to the very first Stadium Series game between the Rangers and the Devils.
And I went to the second one.
Yeah, to the Islander Ranger one. Yeah.
That was cold.
Yeah,
those two games were cold.
But you guys were at night, and it was even worse. So you guys were in like the teens, and you had the wind chill, and you felt like you were in negative weather out there. That sucked. So,
yeah, the wind chill for your game wasn't that great either.
No, it wasn't, but I was layered so heavily, and we were out in the sun, so we got it felt warmer than it actually was. But it's still fun to watch, and it's still cool to see, outdoor games and baseball stadiums, and it's still a money maker. So that, in a sense, it does have a bit of a luster to it. But I mean, it's basically the Winter Classic, just with a different name when you think about it. I don't know. I can't get excited. I can't get as excited for it, but it's still cool to see. Just don't give us garbage looking jerseys like the Toronto one for the Heritage Classic.
Yeah.
There's the Heritage Classic too. So this isn't an original idea. You know, it's just no, David Wood. Not everybody loves new ugly uniforms. You want nice ones, not ugly ones where it's just a T. What does the T stand for? Timeout? Timeout? Trash?
Oh boy. Well, you know who loves new ugly jerseys? Justin Huberdeau. So it's I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna buy around on this, and the reason why it still has its luster is because, to me, you could still do things with the Stadium Series. You can experiment things. Thank you very much, John. You could experiment with different teams at different locations. Let's be honest about something. If it was that first Stadium Series game with the Rangers and the Devils, the Rangers would be in a Winter Classic. When the hell do you think the Devils are getting a Winter Classic? At that time, the Islanders would never get a Winter Classic. Now the Islanders could talk about a Winter Classic. There you go, Anthony. There's another way the Islanders culture has changed. So some of those things are all in there. But then you get cities like, Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. That wasn't a Winter Classic. Now that could be again. You have cities like Tampa Bay, Florida, that all have now earned it. So that's where you can use the Stadium Series to experiment and see whether or not people are going to be receptive to that.
Okay.
Going to your city.
That's fine, but I'm gonna bring an angle into this because you're talking about the word luster. Luster would mean like an exuberance to it. What you're really kind of asking is, does the Stadium Series still help the game? That's what I feel like you're asking, and that's absolutely something you buy around on.
Yeah,
but luster.
I think it's also you're going to see a lot of people excited to see that game tonight. And you might get some people that tune in because it's another outdoor game, but they're also, you get to get the casual fan that might kind of balk at it, being like, there's too many outdoor games.
I don't think the casuals will balk at that. I think the diehards like myself, that's kind of what I'm saying. I think, but Lucas brings up a good point here. It does have luster for franchises that wouldn't get to normally host a Winter Classic, which you were kind of alluding to in your point.
Yes.
So, but this is another good comment here. Could you imagine a Stadium Series game at Tropicana and the lights going out in the middle of the game because the Tampa Bay Rays can't even keep their own electricity on?
Joe, here's the funny part. That's where Tampa Bay originally started playing. They were at Tropicana Field. That was originally called the Thunderdome.
The Lightning? No.
Yeah, the Lightning. Tropicana Field.
Tropicana wasn't built up until years later. The Lightning debuted in 92.
All right. Well, we're not going to waste time on researching that because I do know that they played at a baseball stadium before they went up on that one. You know what? I could be wrong. Could have been something I learned when I was 16 years old, and just learned it wrong.
Broke field. Wow, no, I'm wrong. Hold on.
Good. I like hearing that I'm right.
Shut up.
Ain't that right, Justin Huberdeau? But
yeah, Tropicana broke ground November 22nd, 1986. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So, it's amazing because they played at a baseball stadium. So.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Lightning did. Wow. Mark is right.
Oh, okay. No, I won't push it any further.
Yeah.
So again, by the way, you can see Tampa Bay Tampa Bay at Nashville, versus Nashville at 7:30 tonight. And I think it's actually, this also, by the way, is their audition for them to get a Winter Classic. Nashville has been great, absolutely great for hockey, and they deserve some more. And it's not just because I met good people down there and I got friends living down there now, but still. Phil, we're going to go north of Nashville just a little bit. Ville Husso will start game 1 of the playoffs for the St. Louis Blues. And here's what I'm going to do. Yep, I'm buying around. If you take Ville Husso's numbers, and they're great right now, he's 13-3-2. You can see the goals against right there. Save percentage nearly the goals against and save percentage nearly up where Shesterkin was. He was the guy that originally had the job that Jordan Binnington took away. So I can't help but look at this and think he should be game one starter, and they should work on trying to sign him. He's going to be UFA at the end of the year, Phil. That's going to be quite a sticky situation, and Jordan Binnington better find his game.
Jordan Binnington led the NHL in goals against average in 2019 with a 1.89. He had a 927 save percentage. When they finally started starting him in January, the St. Louis Blues took off from the last place team. You know the rest from there. I don't have to explain that again. But Ville Husso has given the St. Louis Blues the shot in the arm that they've needed in net. And Jordan Binnington looks like his career is starting to take a real nosedive. So, yeah, I'm buying around on this. If you're not starting Ville Husso, if you're Berube, you deserve to lose your job. So, because Ville Husso has been that good, if he played more games, he'd be in not only the Vezina conversation, but the Hart conversation as well.
I agree with that 100% as well. And if you just look at Binnington's numbers, though, on top of that, just bringing them up, he's
right about this
12-10 with a 3.25 goals against and a 900 save percentage. A 3.25 goals against. This wouldn't even be a goalie controversy if he didn't sign an extension already. Like that's where the problem was. You rewarded him for winning a Stanley Cup in that great season, and his results have been mixed since then. I'll say it nicely. 3.25.
They gave him that contract last year, though, too. So I mean, this is the first year that 6-year, $36 million deal. And I mean, he has a no trade, which is an 18-team list. Oh no, hold on. No, he has a full no trade now. And then after the 23-24 season for 24-25 and on, those last 3 years, it's an 18-team no trade, then a 14-team, and then a 10-team no trade. So he's got to approve any deal that he's involved in. So this is going to be a sticky situation for St. Louis because they're going to have to sign.
And basically, he's just Sergei Bobrovsky in St. Louis. You got to hope that he plays his way out of it.
Yeah, with a far better contract.
Yeah, I mean, Bobrovsky's contract is unreal. No matter what, that ship has sailed. He'll never live up to that. He's playing better this season, though. That's where the good part is on that one. All right, we're gonna go to the next one, which is, hey Phil, for your birthday, one of your favorite players is Marty St. Louis. We got you the message from him, and he's been doing a great job with the Montreal Canadiens. It's only 6 games, but Marty St. Louis deserves the full-time job.
It's like I don't like Montreal. I haven't liked them for a long time, but I want to see my man succeed. Like that's my guy right there. I want to see him succeed. He's a great dude. One of my favorite players. Right now, yes, but it's such a small sample size. I'm going to say beer. Just because of the small sample size. I love what he's doing there.
By the way, can you drink any of those suds up top?
What's that?
Can you drink any of the suds up top? Just there you go.
Yeah. That would be terrible bartending by you, by the way, to have the suds overfill like that. So
yeah, no. That's that.
No. But I have to say that it's got to be a beer for me because of the fact that the sample size is so small. But if you actually watched their games, they are a completely different team. Cole Caulfield is now back in the lineup and he's scoring again.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Dvorak really hasn't been a great acquisition for them, but I mean, we knew that Montreal was kind of overpaying for a center solution there. Maybe he picks his game up, but the team is just playing more inspired hockey. And sometimes, and a lot of times, a coaching change will do that. I think the players just essentially tuned out Dominic Ducharme, which, happens. We saw it with David Quinn. It happens. But when Marty St. Louis speaks, you're going to run through a goddamn wall for that man. And I mean, we've all seen the video about how I'm so effing proud to be a New York Ranger. If you didn't want to run through a wall for him after that, I mean, when that man steps in that locker room with those tremendous nuclear quads of his, I think once he starts talking, the adrenaline's going to start running through you. So I'm going to say beer, but I really do want to say round. I just can't say it yet.
Yeah, I'm going to have to echo what you just said. I can't say round just yet, but man, I am getting so close, and it's only 6 games. They have a lot of impressive wins, by the way, against good teams.
They kicked the crap out of Toronto.
Right. They just pounded Toronto. They beat the St. Louis Blues last week. This is a team that lost 7-1 to New Jersey Devils only 2 weeks ago. And now, or 3 weeks ago. And now, I think they could actually beat anybody. And it's all because of Marty St. Louis. And, one of the things Marty St. Louis said when the Rangers hired John Tortorella in 2009, he said, the Rangers are going to learn how to play hockey the right way. And, Marty's probably taken those lessons that he learned from Torts and applying them here. Like, those players are really playing above everything that they could. Sorry, guys, I got a text in the middle of that. They're playing above and beyond right now, and that's why I just think Marty deserves a full-time job. When you see players do that, that's what they have to do.
I will say this to end this. If you're going to ask me whether I think he takes it,
yes,
I think he gets it. I think they're going to keep him after this season. So,
all right, Philk, a critical road trip is this week for the Edmonton Oilers playoff push.
Yes, I am buying around on this. Edmonton, they have been playing so well since they fired Dave Tippett. Even Rick brings it up as well. Tippett gets fired. And as I mentioned before, sometimes coaching changes. That's what happens. They build it just brings a different dimension to the team. Players tune out coaches. It happens. And when you lose it, that's it. When you lose the locker room, that's it. It's over. But the Oilers definitely have a big stretch coming up. I mean, they have Carolina tomorrow. And then after that, because that's a big one, because
it's on the bottom, Phil.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at their well, yeah. But I'm gonna look at some of their other games after that. And it's not just the road trip, really, because they've got some contenders coming up. Philly, okay, and Chicago. No. Montreal playing a lot better. I want to see what they do against this Montreal team. Then they've got Calgary. Then they've got Washington. Then they've got Tampa Bay on the 12th. So you've got 4 games after that little road trip ends where you're just like, okay, like this is really going to be a real litmus test for this. So it's not just the immediate next 4 games. It's the games after that really kind of concern me, So
I can't help it. I wanted to bring up all the mileage that the Edmonton Oilers are going to be going through. First off, by the way, going from Edmonton to Florida. So
not fun.
That's already a nightmare. They go from the Atlantic Division leading team to the Metropolitan Division leading team. Then they go up to Philadelphia, they played better, but right now they're a last place team. And then concluding with Chicago. And by that time, they might be physically exhausted. I'm a big believer in the human element of the game and players getting distracted, players thinking about their contracts, players just being tired. I mean, that's a really long flight to start things off. If I had to say so, they're going to get crushed. I think it's tonight in Florida, but we'll see about that. And then you go Carolina. They could be 0-2 on the trip to start. They know they have to bring the A game every single night. And who knows? Philadelphia or Chicago surprises them. You're 1-3 on that road trip. They've got to come out at least with 5 points on this road trip, I think, to really cement themselves in the playoffs. And you got LA is pouncing. Anaheim is still kind of there. There's a bunch of different teams that are still trying to make the playoffs in the West. You know, Edmonton can't rest on their laurels, and they're trying to get goaltending, and everybody knows it. So they're making them pay a premium. By the way, it was said on NHL Network, if you were going to do that, it needed to be a month ago because goalies don't work out at the trade deadline. And to be honest with you, they're right. The last goalie, I think, of any significance was, Ryan Miller didn't work out as well. And shoot. I almost said Wade Dublitz. That's a wrong Islander one. I'm trying to, Dwayne Rolison. Dwayne Rolison is the last goalie that really worked out for a team that acquired him at the trade deadline. So, yeah. Sorry. I got to buy everybody around on it. I never really did that, but that could be one of those that breaks them before they get to, and then when they get home, you said they got Calgary, right?
Yeah. So after the Chicago game, they have Montreal, which is a home game. Then they got to go back to Calgary. Then they have Washington and Tampa at home. Then, Detroit, Buffalo, and New Jersey. Those next 3 games after that are against teams that are not in the playoff picture. But, this is going to be a tough month for them. And then after those 3 games, they've got Colorado and Dallas in a back-to-back away, San Jose and Calgary again. So they've got a tough month of March.
Yeah. So I don't know. This could be something that sets them on the downward slope. Hopefully it's not, because the NHL really needs Connor McDavid to be in the playoffs. So speaking about the Carolina Hurricanes, Tony DeAngelo's injury could shift the balance of power in the Metro Division. He's got they called it a midsection injury, so I guess an abdominal.
Yeah, an abdominal injury.
It's going to keep him out for a month, and here are his stats for the season. And I got to update these Metro standings because it didn't include last night's game. So there we go. And so do you think that's actually going to change things in the Metro at all?
It could. I'm going to say Beer. Losing someone who's a good offensive defenseman and a great power play quarterback in like Tony DeAngelo, it is a big loss because he has been very good for them. He's been a good soldier. There's been no problems that have been reported or anything like that. So I am going to say that it is a loss. I just don't think that Carolina is going to lose too much steam because I just think they're too complete of a team, even without DeAngelo. They could have a young guy step in and play well for them. They're so complete to the point where they're a well-oiled machine. And I just don't know if they lose much in the division without him. So I'm going to say Beer. I think they could take a small step back, but I could still see them winning the division.
You know what? I appreciate what your answer was because you actually talked me down from a beer to a shot. And you can't really see him. So sorry, Phil. Gonna blur out your face for a second. Actually, that kind of matches your expression right now. So it's but you know what? You're right about that. This team is way too good. And Rob Brindamore is way too good of a coach. That does kind of concern me how they can beat the New York Rangers one night, then go to the New Jersey Devils and lose to them.
Yeah.
And if you tried to pay attention to them through power rankings, they got some bad losses. But also sometimes just who cares? This team is built for the playoffs. And I it's still not in love with Freddie Anderson as a goaltender,
Mm.
but D'Angelo not being there for a month might be a good thing for everyone involved. He's back healthy for the playoffs, and this team could go on a long playoff run. Hopefully, obviously Pittsburgh and the Rangers and Washington are going to try to say something about that, but I think they're going to be too well coached and too far ahead. I think the D'Angelo injury isn't going to impact it as much. And last night's game was a huge step because they beat Columbus. They're now 5 points clear of the New York Rangers and even in games. So there you go. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think they got a game in hand on them. All right. That was actually the end of our Bar Talk segment. So, guys, what do you think? Carolina going to miss a beat without Tony DeAngelo? Alexei Lafreniere sticking on the top line the rest of the season. Billy Husso, the man in net for the St. Louis Blues. And will a defenseman play more games in the future than Zdeno Chara? Throw it down in the comments below. And since actually I got me and Phil right here, I could do this. Don't forget to leave us a like.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll start off the Q&A by going through some bookmark comments. Brody, thank you for the kind words and the donation. By the way, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Brody.
Yeah, and you know what? Mark is a really good sport. We dunk on Mark a lot. Mark just takes it on the chin like a champ, and we have fun with it. So yeah, and then,
if you can't admit your own mistakes, then and you can't have fun with yourself, then what's the point?
Yeah, I've always said this: if you can't laugh at yourself, then you can't laugh at somebody else. So Mark is great with that. He's a great sport. Justin Huberdeau is always going to be a thing, and he's never going to escape that. And I'll make sure that he lives that up every time I see him at work too. So
I definitely think my brain crossed wires a while back thinking Justin Trudeau, Jonathan Huberdeau, and somehow they milled it into one. I guess that's the way I always thought of it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up, Brody, because I saw this before we were in the middle of bar talk, and I wanted to take actually just more than like a second to acknowledge that. So thank you very much. We do appreciate that. Get back to some of the live comments here. Laviolette, yeah, that's another Mark.
Laviolette. Laviolette.
Oh, he got it this time. He didn't even have to practice it. Hey. Yeah.
A guy that, by the way, see, I almost messed it up right there. Peter Laviolette. See, I did it. There it is. Laviolette would be one of those guys I wanted to coach the Rangers for so long. And you know what? We got Gerard. The Rangers got Gerard Gallant right now. I just stopped saying we. I mean, well, right now I'm being a fan. But the Rangers got Gerard Gallant right now. And Phil and I have been manifesting Gerard Gallant as a New York Rangers coach since like our second show. So
yeah,
yeah.
I've actually been manifesting it myself even before I got on this show, but Mark and I have been talking about it since the minute I stepped on with him. So I mean, this was the guy that we wanted. This was the guy that we wanted for, I would say, at least almost 2 years. And I mean, yes, I think that his button pushing has been a big difference. I mean, obviously Igor has got to be the guy, but his button pushing has been a big difference. Yeah, I heard this, Mike Friedman talking about Victor Olofsson. He also said that he doesn't think the Rangers think that they would have the cap space to meet his qualifying number though next season. So, I mean, I would love Victor Olofsson. I think he could turn out to be a 30-plus goal scorer for this team. I think he just fits in perfectly. And he would be that other sniper on the power play. He could really help them because he's got a real good shot, real good release. So, but yeah, I want to go through some of these other comments because I've got to go get lunch with family. So
yeah,
too. So we're gonna make this a little bit of a short one. But by the way, I will try to do a final buzzer. It might be a short one tonight, but I will try to do a final buzzer after the game. I might have a special guest with me on that one, so we'll see how that goes. but I will do one either way. So, Mike, I saw this before. Kako to the bread and butter line. I think, Mark, you're on the same page with me on this one. We've been pulling for this for a while. We said that he should have never been taken off that line. Played the best stretch of his career, and then Turk took him off for whatever reason. I don't know why he did that. So, Rick, Mark must have a very good friend named Justin. That's all. Good job, Mark.
Oh boy.
And
By the way, Florida right now leads Edmonton 2-1, and that's the end of the first. Philadelphia 2-0 over the Capitals.
Let's go Flyers. Freddie Cicchetti, if you're watching, yep, I'm rooting for your team, buddy. Laffy, and then Dominic and Kim here says that Laffy and Kako have to play on the top two lines, give them 15 minutes and a game apiece, and or more, and they will improve. I'm with you, Dominic. I'm with you there. So, I'm gonna try to go through some of these other comments, catch up to the live ones, guys. Sorry. Chris T. Igor has surpassed Panarin and Fox for the best Ranger on the team. This isn't a hot take.
Yeah.
This is not a hot take.
It's not.
So
they don't get as much. I mean, the guy's on the ice 60 minutes, and he nearly scored a goal last week. Like, he's literally doing everything.
Oh, I scared the crap out of my best friend's family when that happened because I kind of screamed out like, oh, like, because I went nuts. I thought it was going in, and then it missed. I was like, oh my God.
I was at work. I was pouring a drink. I actually think I dropped it, ran to the other end of the bar to see it, and then it goes wide. Oh, well.
Johnny
Missed it by that much.
Johnny, with this comment here, the last thing this team needs is to trade young players and pick for a rental. Just doesn't make sense. I'm with you, Johnny.
Depends on what the young players are. But
that's true too.
Yeah, if it's guys whose entry is going to be blocked, don't worry about it. But again, I keep on going back to this, and I keep saying the same thing. Build the bottom six up a little bit more before you focus on who should be on. Because right now, I don't think it matters with Kreider and Zibanejad and Panarin and Strome. Whoever's on their right side is going to produce a little bit. Probably Lafreniere and Kako. But, or again, I keep saying, don't be surprised if Vitaly Kravtsov is in the top six come the end of March. But it's also they need to go out. The trade I would make is Calle Yarncrook and Mark Giordano. Go get it.
I do agree with that. I do like that. It's funny because Lucas brings up a good point here. I'd like to see Lafreniere on the first power play unit. I've been calling for that for a while to play in Strome's spot. But again, I'm going to say this again. How do you fix something that's not broken? Power play is up to fourth in the league now? I think
right
before. And I know that's because they're converting at a high percentage while getting a very, very small amount of chances as of late. I think they've drawn 6 penalties the last 5 games or something like that. Something stupidly small, but yeah, I don't think you could fix something that's not broken.
I'm going to disagree with. By the way, let's finish this one first. That's one of the reasons why I find it problematic about re-signing Ryan Strome. Because again, every Ranger fan wants to bitch and go, why aren't these guys producing? Why aren't these guys producing? But the truth is, they don't get power play one time. That's when you really get to pad your stats. Kako, I believe, had 6 goals in the first 2 months of the season playing on that that right side before they threw Strome over there. This, by the way, was Kako's rookie year. I forgot to say that. And then David Quinn benches him. Ryan Strome goes over there, and he doesn't give the job back. And it's just, you got to develop players, but you also are trying to win. So I would love to have Ryan Strome at $5 million and not have him on power play 1 and use him whenever they need to. But I don't know. It makes it so hard for me to figure out what to do with Strome because I don't hate the guy, but you can't leave Kako and Lafreniere power play 2 for 15 seconds. A power play. No, it's not going to work.
Okay. And here's another thing. You know what's funny? We talked about Matthew Boldy before.
Yeah.
And about how he's produced so well. You want to know how much power play time he gets per game?
None?
No. 2 minutes and 38 seconds of power play time per game.
Thank you.
The only guy that gets the only regular, I should say, because Marco Rossi played 2 games and he averaged 3 minutes and 11 seconds in power play time. So I'm not going to count Marco Rossi as he doesn't meet the games requirement. The only regulars that get more power play time per game than Matt Boldy at forward are Kirill Kaprizov, deservingly so, Matt Zuccarello, deservingly so, and Joel Eriksson Ek. And Joel Eriksson Ek, yeah, I would say he deserves it, but if you're going to ask me who I'm going to put on a power play, Joel Eriksson Ek or Matt Boldy, I'm going to put Matt Boldy on there over Joel Eriksson Ek. Joel Eriksson Ek's he's a very good offensive player, but he's more of a two-way guy. I want him playing more penalty killing time.
Just to address a couple things, Richie, by the way, how you doing? He said, why not shut down Kako for the season? It's too good, too much talent to be this bad. He hasn't been bad. He's just been disappointing. And only disappointing if you take into account he's the number 2 overall pick. Fans thought he was going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
He was a takeaway machine the first 2 months, even when he wasn't scoring goals. Then he got on that little bit of a hot streak and then back down low.
I get the sentiment where you're coming from, Rich. I just don't.
And we understand what you're trying to say. You're not trying to critique the guy. You're
Yeah,
minimally.
I mean, you're just really concerned for his health, and then you want to just see him with a fresh start. I get that. It's the sentiment is good. I just wonder if they'll actually do that or not, which I don't think they will. I think, if anything, keep Lafreniere with the top line, and then just let Kako come back and play on that second line over Dryden Hunt, because Dryden Hunt doesn't belong in that top 6 at all.
Oh God,
Dryden Hunt doesn't belong in a top 9. So
I drank the Kool-Aid. I thought Dryden Hunt was starting to become Riley Smith. I am wrong. I was happy to hear that I'm right before. I'm definitely wrong when it comes to this. So, but this is where you hit this nail right on the head. Can't draft top 2 wingers or top 2 forwards in the top 2 positions of the NHL draft and never play them.
Yeah, and not play them on power play. It's stupid. It's stupid. It just goes to make you question what the Rangers are doing with their development. And I'm not going to go down that road again because that's beating a dead horse. So,
although, can I just say this? Because Jed Ortmeyer and Tanner Glass and even Matt Hunwick, they've been sort of the whipping boys lately for Rangers Twitter. Can I just ask you a question? Do you think the Florida Panthers are a good development team?
Yeah, because you have guys like Barkov, Huberdeau, Trocheck, Uyghur, Smith and Marchessault themselves, who've come from Florida, and that really kind of improved their game there. A lot of those guys.
Former Panther is the head of player development there?
Don't tell me
Gregory Campbell.
Okay. All right. So Gregory Campbell was a better player than guys like Jed Ortmeyer, Matt Hunwick, but again, right. I understand.
And also his father was a coach. So obviously
his father was a coach. Yeah.
There's a pedigree that's in there.
Yeah. But there's a different type of, But
I mean, before we just want to go, Jed Ortmeyer is the head of Rangers development. That's where the problem is. As Steven has pointed out, and you, outside of defense and a handful of forwards over the last crop, they haven't had a 30-goal scorer developed in our system until Chris Kreider this year, and it only took 9 years from Tony Amonte. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's bad. It's a red flag. I'm gonna get a few more of these before we go. Dave Fox is having a down year, or at least a down stretch for Fox's standards, and Igor is still playing phenomenally. So that just goes to show you how good Igor has actually been. Got to replace Hunt McKegg. Keep Barron in the lineup. I'm with you, Brody.
And Filipino isn't the answer at third line center.
No. Mike is right here until we move Trouba. We're in a cap crunch. Ziga definitely been talking about this for before with Igor. So Leo, definitely good to see you as well. Thanks for the ad on Twitter, by the way, Leo. I appreciate that. Add Mark if you can find him too. You'll find him on my followers list.
Yeah, I got 2 accounts. We're still trying to get more traction for Big Apple Hockey Twitter too.
Yeah, so definitely add us on there.
But whenever I have a very pro Rangers take, that's always going to be on All Things Ranger.
Yeah. David, I disagree here. I don't think the drafting has been the biggest problem. I think it's the development. I mean, you can't tell me that Kako wasn't the pick at 2. Yes, would I have liked to have had Trevor Zegras? Yes. And I don't think Trevor Zegras should have fell. I think that he was probably the most skilled player in that entire draft, even more so than Jack Hughes, if you ask me. But I don't think Zegras should have fell. I think a lot of people got enamored with Kirby Dach's size and speed, and I get why. But,
and also, supposedly his interviews, they thought he was going to be the next Jonathan Davis.
Yeah. So, but I mean, Johnny is right. The developmental part of it is awful and has been awful for quite some time for the Rangers. So they've got to be better in that regard. So I think there needs to be an overhaul back there.
And I just want to point out this one. The reason why I keep on bringing up Kravtsov is still a possibility is because all they have to do is say, want to come back? We'll put you in the top 6. Boom. Everything's healed.
Yeah. And you know what? Not even just top 6, but put him in the top 9.
Yeah.
I would like to actually see a third line of something like Calle Barclay Gaudreau, and Vitaly Kravtsov. Because Vitaly Kravtsov could foster a lot of offense for them. And those two are more than defensively responsible enough. And Vitaly Kravtsov's defensive game and his board battles and everything like that improved when we saw him last season in the lineup in those 20 games. So why not give that a shot? You get McKegg and Hunt out of the lineup that way. Your fourth line can still be Barron, Reeves, and Rooney. And I just see, I don't get it. But listen to me.
Well, we got one more question, but by the way, let me throw this one out at you because they were talking about it on ESPN. I was talking about it at the bar last night. Is there any team in the Eastern Conference the Rangers don't win the goaltending matchup against?
Right now, no.
Yeah, even over Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable going up against Tampa Bay with Igor Shesterkin in net, even against Andrei Vasilevsky. And that's the only one that I would be like, okay, Vasi's good. Vasi's got 2 cups. He's got a Vezina. I mean, he's probably the established guy that you would say is the best in the world. But if you're asking who the best is right now at this very, very second, it's Igor.
And he's playing like it.
So
that's why it's, as much as you don't want to do an all-in move, you can certainly get a rental. You don't have to bet the farm. These guys are still developing. We all know this. You get a veteran defenseman you can put back there to spell the rookies. And although they're playing great together, Jones and Schneider.
Yeah, they played great.
But you revamp that third line. You get a third line center that can match up and can move the puck. Everything changes. Everything changes. They're relying on their top 6 too much. And their fourth line. It's that third line. They got to fix that third line. All right.
Yeah,
Phil, if you got one more, because I know you got to get out of here like right now.
Let's see here. Just trying to see what trying to see if I can find another one. No, I don't see anything as of yet. Okay. I like this one from Mr. Fantastic. They don't lose any goaltending matchup in the league. He can steal any series. Hacha couldn't even win until he got to Detroit with that stacked 0-1-0-2 Red Wings team. I do agree that we
but also, by the way, he got to the conference finals. He got to the Stanley Cup finals.
Yeah.
And by the way, I shocked a friend of mine who we were looking at notable players to wear number 22. And I said to him, Brett Hull's wearing 22
in
when
Dallas,
he scores that goal.
Season. Yeah, in his first season, yes.
Yeah.
And then he went to 16 after that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so you definitely need the team in front of him, and I don't think the Rangers will win it this year. I would love to see them win it, obviously, but I just don't. I don't think they're there yet. So I'm not gonna.
And by the way, just to touch on what Leo's saying right there, when you're talking about that, there's a very good possibility Brendan Ottman is up next year, or Will Cooley. Take your pick.
Yeah, I mean, and from what I've heard, the plan is that they want Ottman up, so you never know.
And if that's the case, then in the summer, Kravtsov can be expendable. Maybe he's going to be playing for his next team when he comes back to the New York Rangers after the KHL season.
Oh.
So, all right. So there we go, boys. That's gonna wrap it up for today because folks got to get to dinner with family.
Lunch.
Always, we enjoy this. Thank you for sticking with me through. Apparently, it was my technical issue accidentally leaving the window open. So that's what created the echo. And also, of course, Justin Huberdeau. So, guys, thank you very much. And we're going to do this again next Saturday. Hopefully, I actually get some sleep before then. And we'll have the third part of the Holy Trinity back, the hockey Triforce, if you will. So, all right. Thank you very much. And take it easy. Phil?
Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.